On the night of their engagement, my girlfriend committed suicide by jumping off a building with another man. System prompt: do you want to go back in time? I chose yes countless times. I finally saved my girlfriend, but I also saw her clearly, and I no longer loved her. Because there is another person who has been waiting for me for many, many years. I loosened my tie and smiled stiffly. The engagement dinner, which was supposed to start at 7 o'clock, was delayed until 8:30, and Cindy still didn't show up. The gazes of the guests in the room burned me like fire. I don't look like a considerate and courteous host at all, but more like a clown trying to save the day. Especially my parents. They are somewhat famous, and their expressions were even more embarrassed at this moment. Father Chung laughed dryly and said, "Shaolin, please be patient. Cindy has never been very careful since she was a child, but she will definitely come." Looking at the roses that looked like a sea of flowers and the 9-story black swans, the more luxurious the venue was, the more dazed I felt. Cindy, where have you been?" My head ached, and my memory returned. It suddenly occurred to me that I had experienced this scene countless times. From the time I dressed up to the time I embarrassed myself, my Cindy secretly went to the Charles Schwab building to meet John, the man who had loved her for 10 years. She didn't know that she would end up jumping off the roof with John. She also didn't know that she and John died, trapping me in this night forever. Cindy and I met in college. I fell in love with her kindness and accompanied her in volunteer work, sending supplies to mountainous areas and setting up a shelter for cats and dogs. I also took her on a hot air balloon in Cappadocia, and she screamed at the mountains. All the suitors gave up, except John. He started pursuing Cindy since high school, but Cindy always hated him, saying that he was extreme and had too much of the air of a child of a high-ranking official. After Cindy and I officially announced our relationship, he became more and more pestering, sending me messages and making phone calls, even trying to commit suicide. Cindy couldn't bear to delete him, worried that he would do something stupid. I found John, warned him, and he disappeared. Who would have thought that he would show up again on the night of my engagement? I looked at my watch. Every time my memory came back, Cindy was dead. How many times has this cycle happened? 100 times, 1,000 times? Too many to count, too many to remember. Every time, Cindy chose to see John. Every time, I could only see 2 corpses and wait for the cold system prompt. Do I want to go back in time? Every time, I chose yes. So tired. But it only takes once, just once. As long as she chooses me once, she won't have to die, and I can end this endless cycle. I hung my head, exhausted both physically and mentally. From the initial hysteria upon hearing the news of his death, I have gradually turned into the numbness I have now. Cindy never once chose me. The door to the conference hall was slammed open. Susan appeared outside the door, panting, dragging Cindy's hand. I felt instantly dizzy and moaned uncontrollably. The scene that had been repeated countless times changed tonight. Cindy is not dead. She was brought back by Susan. I shouted hoarsely, Cindy. She impatiently shook off Susan's hand and ran towards me. The protagonist entered the scene, the guests cheered, and Cheng's father took out a handkerchief and kept wiping his forehead. However, Cindy leaned in my arms and said anxiously, "Honey, we can't hold this party. John said that if you dare to propose to him, he will jump off the building. He is still standing on the roof." Before I could say anything, she broke free from my arms, stood in the center of the venue, and bowed deeply. "I'm sorry to trouble you all, but tonight's banquet is canceled." The blunt and rude resignation was like a punch in the face of the guest who had been waiting for a long time. I felt like I was struck by lightning and stood there in a daze. She was so anxious that she didn't even have time to wait for my answer and ruin the engagement party that she had carefully planned for a month. I thought that after going through so many reincarnations, she finally chose me once. The whole place was dead silent, with only the melodious and lively canon played by the violin. The violinist looked embarrassed, not knowing whether to play or stop. The already embarrassed parents got up and left without saying a word, and Cheng's father, sweating profusely, followed them. The guests had all left, and the Yi family's reputation had been largely lost tonight. Father Chung slapped Cindy in the face and yelled, "You are just playing house. You just say you won't do it. Are you crazy?" Cindy just looked at me guiltily. "Honey, you will understand me, right? I can't understand why I don't care whether John lives or dies, but in order to wait for an ending where you are still alive, I have even lost my despair in the endless cycle." I asked her, who is more important, him or me? She said anxiously, "I'm sure you are. Me? But you never chose me once, not even now." I suddenly felt angry. Why bother with him? If he jumps off the building every time, will we never get married? She shook her head desperately, tears coming out. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "He won't let me talk about it." I suppressed my anger. Guang wanted to embarrass me, right? Was it him who taught you to block my phone number? You just listen to whatever he says. Have you ever considered my feelings? Her eyes were filled with tears and her face was filled with grievance. Can't we just wait a little longer and try again in a few days? I laughed angrily and pointed at the luxurious venue. Are you going to make fun of my whole family again? The phone rang, and it was a number with no name on it. She bit her lower lip, glanced at me quickly, and answered the phone. Don't be impulsive. I'm coming. I'm coming right away. Cheng's father slapped him again and yelled, Why are you still talking to that lunatic? Hubby, I know you hate me now, but I have to save him. She ran out the door crying. In my mind, the system voice sounded, Should we go back in time? After hearing those 6 cold words, I hesitated for the first time. Susan stopped her at the door. Cindy lost her patience and yelled at her. It's all your fault. I came back with you and explained to everyone. What else do you want? Can you have some humanity? He's about to jump off the building. Do you want me to have a guilty conscience for the rest of my life? Mr. Chung was so angry that he started coughing violently and wanted to hit her again, but I stopped him. I was tired and angry, but surprisingly calm. In order to prevent future troubles, the only way to save her life is to find out the whole story. It doesn't matter who you choose. Cindy confessed that John had actually been contacting her secretly to express his pain of unrequited love. Cindy also helped him hide it because she was worried that I would be angry. Besides proposing, what else did he say? His investment failed, and when he heard that we were engaged, he said he would rather die. After all, he has loved me for 10 years. I can't remain indifferent. Debt and loss of love. Well, a conceited guy like John is very likely to go crazy and finally drag Cindy with him to end it all. How much did you lose? Cindy looked at me pleadingly. 400,000. I understood what she meant, but I couldn't help but be stunned. Just 400,000? Damn, the custom cake tonight cost much more than that. I transferred 500,000 yuan to her card. Give him the money and ask him to come down. Cindy's eyes lit up, and she hurriedly called and cried again. His phone is turned off, and he left a message saying that if he doesn't come within 10 minutes, we will wait to collect his body. I'll take you there. No, he said he only wanted to see me and not to call the police. As soon as he saw the police car, he jumped out immediately. Susan couldn't help it. If he wanted to jump, he would have jumped a long time ago. I motioned for silence. I'll take you to a nearby place. You go find him. When they arrived at the parking lot, Susan apologized as she walked. She was driving too fast when looking for someone and hit the flower bed. The headlights were badly damaged, which was shocking. After changing into the sports car, Cindy kept urging us to hurry up. Upstairs, you immediately tell him to help him pay back the money. She responded softly and gave me a kiss on the cheek. Hubby, you're so nice. I remained silent. Cindy didn't notice anything unusual about me. Instead, she smiled and her eyes lit up with stars. Hubby, don't be angry. I often think that if we are too happy, we should share the excess happiness and let the people who like us feel happy too. My breathing stopped. She got out of the car and ran straight to the Charles Schwab building without even looking at me, as if she was performing a supreme and sacred redemption. I looked at her in disbelief, like a stranger. The system prompt disappeared. I also grinned and laughed until tears came to my eyes. Share? Excess? Happiness. Every word felt like a knife stabbing into my heart. The grand party that I spent a month preparing for, the engagement announcement that I was looking forward to, the 500,000 yuan I just paid out, and even the lost reputation of the Yi family. Are these excessive happiness? I have gone back in time countless times, just to fulfill your wish and share your happiness. I finally waited for the new ending and finally rescued Cindy. But it's more painful than death. Susan rushed over with Cheng's father and mother. Father Chung rubbed his hands anxiously and stamped his feet. Ethan, Xiaolin, we are sorry for your family. I will go and teach them a lesson right now. Don't make trouble, it's okay. Susan stood beside me in silence, hesitating for a long time. Brother, shall we go? I got into the car with a dead heart. Cheng's father knocked on the car window. Ethan, please tell the in-laws that we will go over and apologize right away. I didn't bother to look at him. Brother, where are you going? Go back to the company and summarize the recent work. In order to make this engagement perfect enough, I participated in the design of many aspects, and it was inevitable that I would make mistakes in my work. At this moment, Bulgari's special wedding ring is still quietly placed in her arms. It should have been presented to Cindy in the rain of flowers falling from the sky. She told me that I couldn't use a card, but had to take it out from my left arm, which symbolized giving my most sincere heart to her. It turns out that these are also excess happiness. Brother, why don't you go and relax? No, I'm fine. Brother, shut up. I turned off my phone, cleared my mind, and fell asleep before I knew it. I was woken by the sound of waves. It was pitch black all around, the car door was wide open, and the sound of waves creaking could be heard. I was the only one in the car, with Susan's coat on. I was a little confused. How come I woke up at the beach? If you drive, the nearest beach will take about 4 hours. After a while, Susan came back with her cell phone on and a smile on her face. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? I looked at her speechlessly. Okay, Boss Yi, how can you continue to work in this state? Why don't you sit down and calm down? She turned on the flashlight on her phone and showed me the shell in her hand. What time is it? It's almost dawn. Give me the car keys. Wait a little longer. I've been driving for half the night, and I just want to watch the sunrise. However, the weather was not good and it was cloudy. It was already noon when I returned to the company, and Mr. and Mrs. Chung were still in the reception room. They were turned away last night and couldn't find me, so they had to come to the company and wait all night. Mother Cheng's hair was disheveled and her face was haggard. Xiaolin, you're finally back. We were so worried about you. Now that I have escaped from the cycle of reincarnation, I have had a good sleep and feel refreshed. I can't think of anything to worry about. Uncle and Aunt, is there something wrong? The tone was distant and the two were stunned. Father Cheng's eyes were bloodshot, and he felt anxious and guilty. It's our fault. We embarrassed you. When Cindy comes back, I'll make her kneel down and apologize to you. I was stunned. She hasn't come back yet? Susan leaned forward and whispered. Sister refused to leave. She was afraid that Zhong would jump again. Don't worry. I have arranged someone to watch over her. I laughed dumbly. Very good. See you off. Susan immediately put on the cold face of a top secretary. We don't discuss family matters at the company. Please go ahead. Mother Chung stood up and said, Xiaolin, don't be angry. You know Cindy best. She is just soft-hearted. I shook my head. It's not me who knows her best, it's John. Cheng's mother turned pale, and Cheng's father cursed. Those two bastards. I can't kill them. Xiaolin, you should have a good rest first and calm down. Mother Cheng wanted to say something, but was pulled away by Father Chung. Susan handed me a cup of coffee. Uncle Chung is actually quite nice. When I got home, Cindy came to greet me wearing an apron. Honey, you're back? Her face was a little red and swollen, probably because she was slapped by Cheng's father again. She is good at showing weakness, and in her heart, she is not afraid of anyone except her father. I walked around her and went to the living room. She rushed to me, crying and acting coquettishly with innocent eyes. Honey, are you still angry? Husband. I used to like this, but now I'm just fed up with it. I pushed her away from me. What I care about most is not whether to save him or not, but that you would rather cooperate with him and hide it from me from the beginning to the end. She cried even louder. I'm just afraid that you'll be angry. I hate him so much. It's so touching, but do I hate it, or do I feel reluctant to let it go? After all, I've loved it for 10 years, right? She cried bitterly and said that it was a human life and they could get engaged again, but it would be terrible if he died and she would feel like she had killed him. I laughed silently. Is death scary? In that endless cycle, death is not scary at all. However, it's quite ironic. I thought it was a tragic reincarnation, but the truth was I owed money and wanted to commit suicide, so I took someone else with me. Seeing that I was silent, Cindy leaned over and nibbled my ear, moaning softly. I felt disgusted and pushed her away. It only takes a moment for a man's heart to change from infatuation to indifference. Cindy, we're done. Her face turned pale and she shook my arm. Honey, don't scare me. I pried her hands apart and went back to the room. After taking a shower, my mother finally called me and said that my father was still angry, so I shouldn't go home and bother him, and should think about how to deal with it myself. There was a knock on the door and Cindy begged outside. Hubby, I don't dare sleep alone. I'm afraid. I hung up the phone and ignored her, and she sobbed softly outside the door. Hubby, you weren't like this before. You said you would spoil me forever. She cried for a while, her voice getting louder and louder, saying that she had clearly saved a person and hadn't done anything wrong. So why did everyone treat her like this? Even I didn't understand her. I felt an indescribable sense of disappointment. If it weren't for the 500,000 yuan I gave them, both of them would have been dead long ago. To me, something that could be resolved in the blink of an eye was turned into a melodrama of infatuation and redemption by them. Ethan, open the door quickly, or I'll be angry too, Humph. I'm begging you like this. If you don't open the door, I'm going to leave, and you won't be able to find me when I leave. I turned off the light and responded silently. Go ahead. When I woke up the next day, Cindy was gone. The next time I saw her was 2 days later in my circle of friends. She is in the Shieling Snow Mountain. Her slender figure and gorgeous clothes perfectly matched the cold snow-capped mountains. The greatest loneliness in the world is not being alone, but being in harmony with each other. She is very good at posing for photos, and can take stunning photos even when she is walking on the streets in a volunteer uniform. When I was in college, I liked looking at the photos of her on WeChat Moments. She was holding kittens and puppies, and her eyes were clearer than those of the cats and dogs. At night, she called me, and when I didn't answer, she sent me a long voice message. She sent the location again. I burst out laughing and thought of old times. 3 years ago, she also traveled alone. She sent me a video at 9 o'clock in the evening, saying that she was scared of staying in a BB and cried. I felt so heartbroken that I gave up my work and drove for 6 hours overnight to be by her side. She hugged me and called me a hero. Now, block it and go to sleep. I had only slept for a few hours when I was woken up by Susan's phone call. Brother, you don't care about me? I was bleary-eyed. Susan yawned. She called me and said you blocked her. She was so angry that she kept crying and got scolded too. It's incomprehensible. She even dared to block me on the day of our engagement, fearing that I would interfere with her rescue efforts. Why can't I sleep well if I block someone when I sleep? If you call me again, I'll block you too. Okay, I'll block her too. Brother, Do you want some fried dough sticks and soy milk? Susan swung the white plastic bag and threw the fried dough sticks on my table. Seeing that I had finished eating, she asked with a smile, "Is it delicious?" I nodded, not knowing what she was saying. "So that car's repair bill, right?" I looked at her speechlessly. The repair bill of more than 100,000 yuan was compensated by giving me 2 fried dough sticks that I didn't know where they came from. Just when I was about to tease her, Cheng's father and mother came in. "I still want to see my parents, but I'm sorry, my dad doesn't even want to see me now." Father Cheng bowed his head and apologized in a low voice. I interrupted him. "Uncle Cheng, everyone has their own principles and choices. There is no right or wrong. Since you have made a choice, you must bear the corresponding consequences." Father Cheng was silent for a while. "How can you forgive Cindy?" I didn't say anything. "Don't look for me these days. I want to travel." Mother Cheng breathed a sigh of relief and murmured to herself. Okay, the young couple should go out for a walk." "Young couple? Okay. Susan, I'll give you half a day to make arrangements. Come with me." Tibet, let's go to Tibet," Susan said, her eyes full of anticipation. Mother Cheng looked at us in confusion. She didn't know that her daughter had gone out alone a long time ago. Mr. Cheng reacted very quickly. He took out his phone and walked out the door. After a while, he heard him cursing. The two left in embarrassment. Susan sighed. "I really think Uncle Cheng is a nice person. I admit this. Because of his family's circumstances, he has always treated our family in an almost flattering manner. I never thought he was snobbish. On the contrary, I always thought he was a very responsible man." Susan curled her lips. "Senior brother is really evil. I'm going to be beaten and scolded again." "Shut up. Some things can be understood but cannot be expressed in words. I think it's petty of you to treat 2 old people like this." I walked to the window, watched the 2 people leaving, stunned and speechless. Susan came closer and asked tentatively, "So, are you going to Tibet?" I nodded tiredly. Susan is usually very lively, but after the plane entered the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, she became quiet as she looked at the quiet snow-capped mountains under the sky. After a day's rest to adjust to the altitude sickness, we started our stop-and-go journey. There are strong winds at the pass all year round, and the densely packed, colorful prayer flags rumble in the wind. Susan stood on tiptoe, hung a yellow prayer flag, clasped her hands together, and looked very pious. The wind blew up her long hair, making it messy and sad. She said that the wind would listen to your wish and blow it to the ears of the gods. I asked her what she wished for. Her eyes were red. She looked at me for a while without saying a word, then turned her head to look at the high and empty blue sky. I was feeling nervous and didn't dare laugh at her. Susan's identity is a bit complicated. She was a junior classmate of mine. After she submitted her resume to my dad, she quickly became a top secretary and was also very popular with my mom. Probably because my dad always felt resentful for not having a daughter, the old couple adopted her as their daughter and finally assigned her to be my secretary. Relying on his power, he always acts disrespectfully and speaks wildly. But don't underestimate her because she is very meticulous in her work. She plays during the day and coordinates and summarizes at night. Naturally, I am responsible for the travel guide. After the trip, it didn't feel like she was accompanying me, but rather like I was accompanying her. The day before our return trip, the BB owner and his family insisted on taking us out for a drink. I don't want to humiliate myself, but Susan doesn't know how to live or die. After drinking so much, I felt dizzy, and the boss started to make a witty remark, which was about a marriage that was both far away and close at hand. Susan's cheeks were flushed, and her mind was probably dizzy, but she kept nodding to the boss. In the middle of the night, when I was feeling dizzy, I felt someone squeeze into my bed. When I woke up the next day and looked at Susan in my arms, I was horrified and quickly checked my clothes. Fortunately, they are all still with me. Susan kept making sarcastic comments. "Guang is a scumbag, a bastard, and he acts under the influence of alcohol. If you like me, you can just say it directly. There is really no need to do this. I understand, men. You know nothing." I felt a headache. "This is my room. You came in by yourself." "I went into the wrong room. Wouldn't you go somewhere else? Why are you holding me so tight?" "I was so drunk, I don't even remember anything. I'm going to tell my godmother." I was scared and yelled, "I didn't do anything. Don't mess with me." She stared at me coldly and suddenly said in a coquettish voice, "Brother, be gentle. It hurts." I almost choked to death from the breath stuck in my throat, and she ran away laughing. When we came back, Cindy made a scene. Wearing her silk pajamas, she threw a tantrum at home, saying that I was so cruel and dared to ignore her for more than 10 days. He also said that he had known that Susan had bad intentions and was a scheming green tea girl or something like that. I was annoyed by her noise. "Cindy, I am still paying attention to you now so that you can have some time to adjust to the breakup." She cried and trembled. "Hubby, it doesn't matter if others don't understand me, but you know me." What she meant was that I should have gotten used to her kind nature by now. However, the halo that love gave her has dissipated, and my heart has become calm to the point of being cruel. I asked her to change her clothes and took her to the cat and dog shelter. During her senior year, a well-known stray cat on campus died, and she cried for a long time. In order to appease her, I simply set up a shelter for stray cats and dogs with her. It is still in operation today, with considerable monthly expenses. She has gained an excellent reputation in the pet circle thanks to this website. How long has it been since you last came here? 3 months, 2 months? Do you know how much it costs every month? She shook her head innocently. Here you need to rent, hire someone to manage the place, buy feed, get pet medical treatment, and investigate the motivation of the adopter. Which one of these doesn't cost money? As for you, you just come here every once in a while to take photos and post them on your moments. I'll pay for your kindness. Her face turned red and white. Cindy, my love for you is not in excess of happiness, nor is it for you to squander. I took her to the warehouse. All these feeds are imported. I heard Xiaoqiu say that the domestic ones are actually quite good, but you don't allow it because you think it's cheapening. I would rather you save some money and buy more supplies to send to the mountainous areas. Cindy, you are not kind at all. You just like your kind persona. She broke down and threw herself on me, crying. I pushed her away and left. Susan said that she couldn't let me sleep there for free, and I had to compensate her by treating her to a meal. This is a membership-based private kitchen, built halfway up the mountain. Looking out the window, you can see the lights of thousands of homes. Cindy used to like coming here and drinking scented tea after her meals. Susan only ordered by Bing Ning, because she knew I would suffer from insomnia after drinking tea. The atmosphere was slightly awkward. Actually, I knew she liked me a little bit. Just as I was thinking about how to deal with it, Cindy opened the door and came in. No fuss, just sat next to me. Husband. Cindy called me, but her eyes were fixed on Susan. Susan raised her eyebrows, showing no sign of weakness. I really don't want to get entangled with Cindy anymore. Shanshan, let's go. Cindy stopped me and questioned Susan. You are amazing. When you called me so sweetly, you were always thinking about my husband. Susan lifted her hair. I never said I liked my senior brother, but everyone knows that I like him. How can you say you didn't know? She was uncharacteristically frank in admitting it, which left Cindy and I at a loss. You just know that senior brother doesn't love anyone but you, so you never care about me. Cindy sneered. You are such a ruthless person. I treated you like a sister. Susan shook her head. I really mean it when I call you senior sister, but you keep me as a sister just to embarrass me. She looked at me, serious. It's so sad to like someone but have to endure it and watch him get married. I suddenly remembered that when I hung the prayer flags at the pass, she looked at me so seriously and sadly. Shan. She stood up and left. You guys chat. I quickly got up and chased after her. Cindy grabbed me and screamed, you can't leave. I pulled my hand away from her. Cindy, I said we're done. She blocked the door, crying and asking for a hug. Hubby, I was wrong. Give me a chance, and I will prove it to you. I was very anxious, even inexplicably panicked, so I pushed her away and trotted after Susan. When he ran to the courtyard gate, he saw a shocking scene. Susan got in the car, did a drift, and drove out of the door, speeding down the mountain. I was so numb that I wondered if I was dreaming. When did her driving skills become so awesome? Susan resigned. My dad was furious. Because of the engagement, he lost face and his business was affected. Now that Susan was gone again, he told me to go home right away and scolded me for more than an hour, saying that I was worthless. My mother also rarely got angry with me and added fuel to the fire. I was worried and tried to keep Susan. She said that she had been holding the title of secretary and doing the work of a director for the past few years, and it was time for her to relax and have some fun. Besides, if I don't leave now, my senior sister will call me a mistress. I pretended to be relaxed. How dare she do that when I'm here? Besides, she and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. She tilted her head and looked at me, smiling helplessly. I took her hand and imitated her usual smile. Raise your salary, double it. She struggled gently. Brother, this won't work. 3 times. No. Then what should we do? She just looked at me steadily, smiled, and turned away. After Susan left, I suddenly felt uncomfortable everywhere. The person who took over was actually very good, but I just couldn't get used to him. Sometimes when I was busy in the office, I would call Susan out of habit, but there was no response. It feels empty. She has been by my side for many years, but she has never said that she loves me, let alone tried to commit suicide. But in Faraway Tibet, on that drunken night, she lost control. I can't imagine how embarrassed she was when she crawled into my bed, and whether she cried quietly in my arms. It's so sad to like someone but have to endure it and watch him get married. Whenever I think of it, my heart aches. I called her, but no one answered, and no one replied to my WeChat message. I threw down my phone and lay on the bed, with past events flashing through my mind, including Cindy's and Susan's. The first time I met Cindy was at the freshman celebration. She was a sophomore at the time and was the lead singer of the choir. Her song, Ave Maria, was both majestic and peaceful. She was standing in the center of the stage, her face glowing with purity and holiness. I was fascinated. Susan later told me that she was also in the choir at the time. I tried hard to recall, but I couldn't remember where she was standing at that time. When I was busy and overwhelmed, Cindy broke into the office. The security guards followed behind her, but they still didn't dare to stop the former future boss lady. I haven't seen her for many days. She has lost a lot of weight and her beauty has mostly disappeared. She looked around the office and confirmed that Susan had really resigned, then confessed to me with an excited tone. The last time John committed suicide, his mother scolded Cindy for harming her son for 10 years, and she collapsed in bed in anger for more than a month. John said that if his mother died, he would not live either, and he had to see Cindy for the last time. Cindy wanted to apologize. She swore to me that she would be able to persuade John not to commit suicide, and then she would hold the engagement party with me again. So that's what she said, prove it to me. Persuading people to live proves that she persists in being kind, apologizing proves that she is polite, and reholding the engagement party proves that she will marry no one but me. I feel tired, but also funny. So much time has passed, and she has no intention of apologizing to my parents, but now she wants to go to John's family to apologize. She left again, without hesitation. I was extremely annoyed, but had to ask 2 security guards to follow me. After all, John's character is really bad. From a distance, I saw her carrying several large bags of gift boxes and entering John's house. It is an old state-owned enterprise apartment. I understand it clearly. John looks like the son of a high-ranking official all day long, but in fact his parents are just employees of a state-owned enterprise. But they don't live here permanently. Sure enough, after a while, muffled exclamations and the sound of furniture colliding were heard from inside. The security guard kicked open the wooden door, and Cindy's screams for help were heard from inside. There were only 2 people in the room. Her clothes were torn, revealing large areas of skin, and her face was full of tears and fear. I was too lazy to do anything, so the security guard rushed over and beat John half to death. Cindy crawled towards me in fear, hugged my legs tightly, her lips trembling, unable to speak. I asked jokingly, "Do you want to call the police? There's a fight going on. Look how pitiful he is. After all, he's the man who has loved you for 10 years. She looked at me blankly, then suddenly stood up and stomped on John, who was lying on the ground like crazy. After John was imprisoned, Cindy's family came to express their gratitude again. Cheng's mother kept persuading me to reconcile, saying that Cindy was not a bad person, just a little stupid. Cindy still had an innocent look in her eyes and said that no one would stop us from getting married now. She still thinks I'm just mad at John and that I still care about her. I was exhausted and stressed again. Cindy, we broke up a long time ago. The moment she had John, she betrayed me. I looked at the 3 of them, my tone gradually turned cold. Don't come again, otherwise you will be embarrassed. Cindy didn't believe it and acted hysterically, saying that she loved me and couldn't live without me. She also said that I must still love her, otherwise why would I save her? Father Chung had a complicated look on his face and slapped Cindy on the face. Don't you think it's shameful enough? Go. Cindy rushed over and asked sharply, "Is it Susan? Is it her? I know whether you like her or not." I smiled. "Yes, I like her." She was stunned, cursing son of a bitch, and reaching out to grab my hair. Mr. and Mrs. Chung dragged her away. She cried and struggled to get back, scolding me and saying she loved me. Looks like mad. A few days later, Cindy sent me a video. She was hospitalized. In the video, she looked pale, lying on the hospital bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. The casting, lighting, and filters are all very good. I wonder which of her besties took the photo. "Honey, I'm so cold. Can you come and keep me company?" "Hubby, pay attention to me. Is it cold?" I thought about it and replied, "I'll give you some clothes later." "Yeah, I'll wait for you. I'll know my husband still loves me." "My dear, I love you too. I will always love you, and only love you." I could feel her joy through the screen. I asked someone to run errands and pack up some clothes and other things she left at home and send them over. Then deleted her. The company has been very busy recently, and before I knew it, I was working until 9 o'clock in the evening. I leaned back in my chair tiredly and closed my eyes. Within 3 months, I changed 3 secretaries. After changing them so many times, I realized that I was too used to Susan. She was away for 3 months, but it felt like 3 years. Why didn't I notice it before? Did she hide it too well? Or am I deliberately ignoring it? I can't remember when she changed from a timid little girl to someone like a family member to me. It seemed as if she was supposed to be by my side. But in this world, no one should be nice to anyone else. After I separated my feelings from Cindy, I realized how blind I was before. How stupidly blind I was. I'm so stupid that I don't dare to recall the good things about Susan. I realized that what I lost was not just a secretary who called me senior all day long. Suddenly, a picture popped into my mind. On the engagement night, Susan pushed open the door and appeared in my sight, dragging Cindy. I only saw Cindy and didn't notice that she was out of breath at all. I stood up suddenly, trembling all over. I always thought I was the one who got the new ending, but it was actually Susan. It was Susan who brought Cindy back. It was she who pulled me out of the cycle of reincarnation. At that time, she should have been as radiant as a god, but I didn't even look at her for a second. And there were broken headlights. How fast was she driving? Damn it. I dialed her number with shaking hands. Answer the phone, answer the phone. I prayed madly in my heart, please answer the phone. After a long ring, the call was not answered. I called again, and on the 5th time, the call was finally connected. Hello. Susan's lazy voice. I tried to keep my voice calm. Shan, where are you? Only the sound of her gentle breathing could be heard from the other side. I can't stand it anymore. Where are you? Tell me, right now. She asked in surprise. What's going on? Are you crazy? I was just taking a shower and drying my hair. I don't want to waste a moment. Where are you? She was silent again. Sure enough, she just didn't want to see me. I was extremely anxious. I want to see you, and I want to see you now. She was silent for a long time and asked, why? I don't want to hide it anymore. Is it too late for me to say I miss you? She didn't say anything, and I became more and more anxious. Say something. Then she sniffed. It's not late, it's only 9:30. I said anxiously, you know that's not what I meant. She hung up the phone, and I was about to go crazy when I received her location on WeChat. It's actually a gas station on the highway, she said. Just wait here. I immediately understood what she meant and ran to the garage screaming, drive slowly and be safe. The same to you. There is a full moon hanging high in the sky. Susan leaned against the car door and looked at me with a smile. I rushed over and hugged her tightly. Good thing it's not too late. Extra 1. Susan drove anxiously and finally found out where Cindy had gone. She had to bring the Virgin Mary bride back quickly. Her driving skills are not very good. After all, she has only had her driver's license for less than 2 months. Stupid senior brother. Stupid idiot, big idiot. She couldn't help but curse inwardly. As she cursed, tears started to fall again. Does he really not know how much he likes him? It was already difficult enough, and now I had to go out and find a bride. It's really stupid. Her head felt a sharp pain, and she was in a trance. It turned out that she had experienced this scene countless times. Her legs were shaking. Damn it, bastard. 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 She broke down. She had seen the ending. The senior brother carried Cindy's body into the car and rushed to the hospital like crazy. In the end, a truck ended the senior brother's life. You can't die. You can't die. I don't want you to die. Susan almost whined as she stepped on the accelerator. Vast memories came flooding back, and she instantly transformed from a rookie into a top racing driver. She repeated the process of shifting gears and double-stepping on the pedal to drift countless times, and repeated the route she had run over and over again, as if it were data engraved in her bones. 1 minute, just 1 minute. As long as we stop Cindy in front of the Charles Schwab building, everything will be fine. With a loud bang, Susan's car was knocked away. She was driving too fast. No matter how skilled she was as a driver, it was useless because this was a busy city. Her face was covered in blood, and it looked as if her internal organs were shattered. Looking at the broken car window, Susan smiled bitterly and felt very sad. Brother, look, you don't even know I'm about to die. A cold prompt from the system came into my mind. Should I go back in time? How many times has this happened? 10964, or 10,963. She was exhausted and chose yes again. Extra. Sure enough, he still didn't see me. He only saw my senior sister. I risked my life to bring back your bride. Can't you just look at me a little longer? Wow, this banquet is really luxurious. He said that we can see the rain of flowers falling from the sky in a while. Susan sighed deeply, then smiled. Forget it. He survived anyway. It's just that I'm so sad and my heart hurts so much. It really hurts. Can I cry? I just want to cry for a while, just for a while. The small charcoal stove burned quietly, making a slight beeping sound. Susan and Ethan sat on the carpet, looking at the bright moon in the sky. It's Mid-Autumn Festival again. Ethan hugged Susan tightly and whispered, Shan, I once had a very long nightmare. I thought I would never wake up. Later, you appeared in my dream, like a god descending from heaven, and shattered my nightmare. Susan listened quietly and suddenly asked him, Brother, do you still think about me? Ethan hugged her lovingly. No, I only miss you. In fact, Ethan knew that Susan had some reservations. During dinner, his parents teased Susan, asking her when she would get married and whether they were now daughter-in-law or daughter-in-law. Susan refused. The moonlight was so bright that Susan's long eyelashes were clearly visible. When she was quiet, she always had an inexplicable sadness about her. Ethan suddenly remembered the scene of her hanging the sutra at the pass and asked her, What wish did you make at that time? Susan lay in his arms. I wish you could see me earlier. A strong wind blew, and sparks flew in the small charcoal stove. Should we go back in time? Should we go back in time? The system prompt that suddenly sounded in their minds made the two of them tremble all over. Ethan's hair stood on end. He hugged Susan tightly. Shan, I have a very big secret. Do you want to hear it? What a coincidence. I also happen to have a very big secret. This time, the time goes back to the university's freshman celebration. It's an appointment. You must see me. I'm standing in the 3rd row, second from the left. You have to see me, and you have to keep looking at me. Ethan held Susan's face and kissed her madly. I will remember what you look like, I swear. Even if my memory is erased, I will still remember you. In addition, the performance of the volunteer department at this year's freshman celebration was unique. A chorus of Ave Maria, magnificent and peaceful. Especially the girl in the middle. I heard she is the new campus beauty. She is really pretty. What is her name, Cindy? Ethan looked at her, but inexplicably felt annoyed. He turned his head and his eyes inadvertently swept across the choir behind her and saw a figure standing timidly in the crowd. Ethan stared at the girl in a daze. When he came to his senses, he wiped his face and found it was covered with tears. She finished singing and walked off the stage, and Ethan rushed over to stop her. Hello, classmate. My name is Ethan. Can I meet you? Ethan reached out his hand to the girl rashly and eagerly. The girl stared at him blankly for a while. Then she also bravely reached out her hand. Hello, my name is Susan, and I'm a freshman. The two looked at each other and suddenly asked at the same time. We seem to have met before. We seem to have met before.